I'd like to talk briefly about the origins of Elgg, where it came from, why it was created, who created it. Elgg was originally created in 2004 by Dave Tosh and Ben Wordmiller. Dave was working on a thesis project, and his idea was that education can take place without the traditional roles of teacher and student. And so he and Ben met and they got together and started working on a project that would allow students and teachers to interact on the same levels, to have a shared learning experience. And this was the first version of Elgg. A quick story about the name. Ben's family is from Elgg in Switzerland. And so he had had a domain name, Elgg.com, I believe, at that time. And so they needed a server to put it on, so they put their stuff on the server for Elgg, and that's where the name was born. It doesn't actually mean anything, it just happens to be a city. Now it's just Elgg, a platform. So the years went by, and Elgg grew in popularity in the education market. So around 2007, a company was created to help Elgg grow. That company was called CurveWriter. And the company was able to get investors and then able to bring on additional developers. So they brought on Marcus Povey and Pete Harris, and Steve O'Hare was there in the early days also. And as Elgg continued to grow, they realized that there were some problems with the initial conception of it, mostly because it was a thesis project that was written and never meant to be released. So we went through and did a complete rewrite. In 2008, Elgg 1.0 was released. I came onto the scene a little bit after that. So by the time Elgg 1.0 was around, there was a fairly large user base for Elgg. It was still mostly educational, and there were starting to be some government institutions there, but it was largely an e-learning solution. So since then, Elgg has really grown into a more white label social network, where we have people using it from anywhere from government to educational to like niche social networks. I know there are a few water polo networks and rugby networks. Other different kinds of sports have their own networks, and we have dating sites that use Elgg. We have other not quite education but related to learning environments. Those sorts of sites are using Elgg. So Elgg has really changed from a thesis project focused on collaborative education to a generic social network that allows anyone to create their social network.